guys, it's Lauren. I make videos on my autism experience. This one's a little different, and this one's going to YouTube. I made one on TikTok earlier today, and it should be posted, hopefully. It is. So there's not going to be much edits to this video. I want to talk about a health issue that I've had my whole life. It's not autism. Honestly, it's kind of a rare condition. So, I am diagnosed on the autism spectrum and was diagnosed at a time when it was poorly understood. And unlike this problem I'm going to talk to you about, my autism was diagnosed pretty much immediately. But that was back in the days of it being pervasive developmental disorder if you were verbal, which I was verbal, so that was my autism diagnosis. And when Asperger's came in, I was given that diagnosis. And so as for this rare problem I want to talk about, it's been there since childhood. Well, I had 2 episodes of transient synovitis when I was little. Transient synovitis is a inflammation of a hip that affects children, and boys tends to be the people that it affects the most. And they say it follows an upper respiratory tract infection. And my mom took me to the doctor twice for the 2 episodes that happened. And the second time that it happened, I was 6 years old, and it was a lot worse the second time. And I had a high fever, I was really sick, and I was in the local hospital, not a children's hospital. I was there for like 2 or 3 nights, and I was on round-the-clock medicine trying to treat me just in case I had a bacterial infection. They thought that was what was going on. But at the end of my stay, they concluded that, according to my mom, that I had a condition called transient synovitis. And ever since then, I've had flares of it. Just flares of where the pain would just hit me in my left hip. My right hip also hurt some too, but not near as bad. And then it would go away and it would come back. But every flare I've had of this only got worse and worse each time. And my second flare came, outside of the transient synovitis attacks, my second major flare came when I was 12. And I had flares of it in between times then, and every time that I had flares, it was always debilitating, and I couldn't get out of the house. I couldn't do much. It hurt, and I had to take medicine constantly. And so it bothered me again when I was 12, and well, nothing really showed. We went to doctors. I went to a pediatric specialist when I was 12. He was a jerk face. He told my mom and dad that basically it was all in, he thought that they were stupid for bringing me back because I had a follow-up to a bone scan that I had done. And that bone scan didn't really show anything other than a cyst on my ovary. And so fast forward quite a few years, I started beauty school. The flares kept coming, and the exact same pain that came when I was little hit me hard with a vengeance in beauty school. And I almost had to drop out because it hurt so bad I couldn't stand. I couldn't even literally stand to do someone's hair. Like, pain in that, at whatever age you are, is not normal. And I knew with all my heart that the pain was real. And I had a lot of pain also kind of in high school. Like, I would have back pain. And I can remember one time my senior year, I was having intense back pain, and I asked my science teacher if I could go to the nurse and get some medicine, and she was like, "Here, Lauren, I'll give you some Tylenol." And she gave me some Tylenol, and she was kind enough to know that, that something was really hurting me, and that I didn't need to hurt like that. And also, in addition to me getting back pain that started when I was in my mid-teens, and the hip pain, of course, continuing and getting worse with each flare. My mid-20s, I start seeing doctors for it again. I start seeing neurologists, and in my so I saw that year, since the episode, I saw Dr. Stevens, and my I don't mean to name his name, but the doctor at Shriners, and he worked for Shriners. He wasn't a Shriners doctor. Then in my mid-20s, I saw a neurologist, and he was also a jerk face. And then in my 30s, in my early 30s, I saw another orthopedics. He was good, he just didn't know how to deal with me. And then a few years later, I had so my fourth one. And so this is actually, I believe, my fifth or my sixth doctor that I've seen for this, including the bunch of orthopedics I've seen. And through the years of all this, on and off, since I was 12, I've had, until I got diagnosed with this, I've had multiple MRIs and CT scans of my lower back and my pelvic area, and of course my left knee, and nothing has ever actually shown up. And they were not looking for the problem that they saw today. So a lifetime of hip problems, and being checked for every major autoimmune disease, like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and really every nerve disorder possible that could be causing me to hurt, like RSD, spondyloarthropathy, multiple sclerosis, and celiac disease. And number 7, I was diagnosed via laparoscopic surgery with stage 4 endometriosis in my late 20s, and interstitial cystitis too, the bladder. And we went down a treatment road for that, and I was on, with me being diagnosed with endometriosis, people just, I just took Neurontin for the pain from endometriosis, but thinking that that probably my severe debilitating hip pain was related from fibromyalgia, but I was atypical of a fibromyalgia type patient. And so even at one point, I even went to an endometriosis specialty surgeon from a group that I found on Facebook where doctors do excision of endometriosis, and I had my hysterectomy done by an endometriosis expert surgeon, and I mentioned to him all this, the hip and knee pain that I had, and sorry about that. He said that he didn't think that the endometriosis had anything to do with the hip pain, and I don't really think it did either, because why would it still be hurting? I mean, why is the hip pain only not changed 10 years after I had a hysterectomy? So, my mom, I mean, he's always been my advocate, has always thought that, you know, maybe it was something to do with my back. And I always told her, I said, Mom, there is something that they're missing. And so, last week I had a hip injection done. I learned that those are not the best. So, today I went back to the doctor for my hip. Well, okay. So my mom didn't really want me going back to the doctor to have my hip checked out. And as Christians, we're required to honor and obey our parents. But I knew something was seriously, I knew that I felt like I needed to get a solid answer as to what was going, and I was not going to give up until I found out what was truly wrong in making my hip hurt the way it had since I was a young child, and it's only getting worse. And I worry about myself if this thing continues at what they diagnosed me with today, or suspected, am I going to be able to walk within a few years? Because it hurts that bad when it flares. And crazy as it seems, my mom always thought I walked weird. And my nephew thinks that I walk like a duck, because 2 years ago we were at this Holiday World amusement park in Indiana for my birthday, and he kept telling me I walked like a duck when we were headed to the water park, and we put our stuff down, and every time we go get on a ride, he would be like, Aunt Lauren, you walk like a duck. But it was funny the way he said it. But, you know, he observed it, and he could tell that and he's just a little boy, and he could tell that there's something not right about my hip. So, and my dad thinks, you know, my dad, I'm sure, would think I'm nuts for going to the doctor to find out too. But so I pushed for more answers, pushed my family doctor, and I emailed her like almost a month ago. I said, I don't care. I told her in an email, either you get me in with the best person who can treat me, the best neurosurgeon or hip doctor that can treat me. So she puts me in a referral to our local hospital's orthopedics person, and I got in with one of their hip doctors. And I went in there nervous as heck, because I was afraid that he was going to think that there was something mentally wrong with me. But honestly, I walked in, you know, and this is the first time I'd ever went to a hip doctor without my family with me. And so not long after they called me back and they weighed me, the nurse took me in and, you know, went over all the basic stuff like birthday, you know, all that. And then not long later, the doctor comes in, And he seemed really concerned, and he looked like he really wanted to help me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and I just went in detail telling him everything, all the pain that I've had. And he was very serious-minded about it. And then he does an exam on me, and I'm like, it kind of, was uncomfortable to do that. And then he's like, well, let's go down, let's get an x-ray of your pelvis. So anyway, I literally was flat out telling him, there is something wrong, and I really want you to dig in and look and find out. There's something that's missed. So he does an x-ray of my hip with one of his radiologists, and so not long after I had the x-ray, the nurse came and get me and tucks me back in the room, and then the doctor comes back in. And he pulls up my x-ray, and he says that he is very concerned that I have got a very rare condition in my hip. It's not cancerous, thank goodness, but it is a very painful and debilitating condition of the hip that, if not treated, it can cause further problems. So he told me that he is very concerned that I have a condition called, very long word here, 2 words, synovial. Okay, that's the first word. And then the second word's got, I don't know how many syllables. So on to the second word. Osteochondromatosis. So, case in point for the word. Diagnosis of potential. Synovial chondromatosis. And then he pulls the x-ray up on the screen, and he could see some spots of where there's some cyst in the hip. And this condition causes cyst in the hip. And it even said that there was cyst in the hip on a previous MRI that I had 6 years ago. Nobody took that into consideration. And God bless this doctor that really listened to me. So he said that he's not going to do anything for me. But he does want to send me to one of the other doctors in the practice that specializes in hip arthroscopies. So in another month, I've got a appointment with one of the hip specialists in the office, and I'm praying that this guy can provide solid answers, because I've had this pain for so long, and the pain is only getting worse. But as for this condition that they suspect in me, called synovial chondromatosis, it is a very rare condition. They don't know what causes it. But I researched, and unfortunately, there's a surgery for it. So, surgery is the best way to treat it. But for those people that they have to have a hip replacement done, I read that in 20% of the people that have this condition, it can develop in the new hip. And as for me, the x-ray showed, as of today, that I had the condition in both hips, which highly explains my pain. And I'm just praying that we can find more solid answers. And He didn't give me a lot of information about this disease, but only the fact that it's non-cancerous. It's a benign condition, but over time, it does get worse. And it eventually hardens the joints. And in this disease, so unlike what you would get with rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, this disease causes hardening of the hip joints. And because it's a rare condition, that made it difficult to detect on standard imaging. It's been there all along, and they just didn't know what it was, and they didn't know what to look for, so they just said, that I had a normal hip. But I know I had that all along. They were just not looking at my x-ray right. And no matter what, guys, I just sometimes feel like I'm sweating and it's really hot, and I feel like a lot of flood of emotions that came through of joy. They finally found out an idea as to what is going on with this hellish hip pain that I've had. And every flare that I've had has been so painful that nothing can literally stop it. I take Tylenol, high doses of pain meds, and it won't stop it. NSAIDs, I take the highest dose possible when it flares. And it even takes hydrocodone to stop the highest dose of hydrocodone possible to stop the pain, or of any medicine. And the way to describe the pain when it comes would be like sticking like a drill in my hip and pounding it with a hammer, or like burning it, like a burning sensation in there too, like you would stick a lighter in my hip and burn it. It also feels that way too. And I don't even think that endometriosis or even my hysterectomy can compare to this pain. It's evil. It's like Satan is attacking my hip. And I flat out told the doctor that when this pain flares, it's so painful that I like to describe it as the parable of the rich man and Lazarus in the Bible in Luke chapter 16, where the rich man goes to hell and he describes basically what hell is like. That is what my hip pain feels like when it flares. And I'm just hoping when I see the other doctor in the clinic that he will take it seriously and really want to help fix my hip pain. See, guys, I knew something was wrong all this time, and these doctors would not take the time to listen to me. And I'm sorry I'm on the autism spectrum, but that doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on in my body. And the guy that I saw earlier today, I believe he was an answer to my prayer. And may I also ask, guys, that in conclusion to this, if you, neurotypical or autistic, have any pain but no one can explain it, do not give up. Do whatever it takes. Fight your insurance. Dip into savings. This is your health, your child's health. Do not be shy about it. You have to stick up and say, I want an answer. And keep pushing until you find an answer. No matter what, even if it does hurt somebody's feelings, it's your health and you have to get through it. And kids, don't worry about honoring your parents. If you're a young person and like in your 20s, listen, same goes. Find out. You have to find out why you are hurting. It doesn't matter what your symptoms are, what part of the body it is. Do not give up and just assume, oh, this is something that I have to live with. No! Take care of your health. I'm not going to stop until I have the answers found. And I don't want you to either. So guys, thank you for listening. God bless you. And don't let anyone discount you because of autism if you have it. God bless you. You are special and you deserve to live a healthy life. Thank you and amen.